Special education is individualized instruction designed for students whose disabilities affect how they learn. That can mean physical, cognitive, emotional, behavioral, or learning-based differences. Here's the biggest misconception. Special education isn't a place. It's a service. A student can receive special ed support right inside a regular classroom, in a resource room for part of the day, or in a more specialized setting, depending on what they need. So, who actually qualifies? The categories are broader than most people think. Learning disabilities, like dyslexia or dyscalculia, ADHD, autism spectrum conditions, speech and language impairments, aphysical disabilities, emotional or behavioral disorders. To qualify, a student typically goes through a formal evaluation process in a team, including parents, teachers, and specialists, decides what support is needed. Once a student qualifies, they get what's called an IEP, an Individualized Education Program. Think of it as a roadmap, specific goals, specific supports, written just for that student. Two terms you'll hear a lot, accommodations and modifications. An accommodation changes how a student learns, like extra time on a test. A modification changes what they're expected to learn, like a simplified assignment. And there's a principle called least restrictive environment, which basically says students should be included in general education as much as possible, with extra support brought to them, not the other way around. Let me give you a few real examples of why this matters. A student with dyslexia might get labeled lazy or slow, when really, reading just looks different for their brain. Give them audiobooks and specialized instruction, and that same student can excel. A student with autism might struggle with fluorescent lights, loud noises, or constant transitions. Something as simple as noise-canceling headphones or a quiet space can be the difference between shutting down and actually learning. A nonverbal student might use a speech-generating device just to ask a question or say they need help. Without that support, they could go years without a way to participate at all. And a student with ADHD who never finishes anything might just need a big task broken into smaller steps. The barrier was never intelligence. It was structure. Here's the bigger point. Special education isn't about giving kids an easier path. It's about removing barriers that have nothing to do with their intelligence or potential. A student who can't see the board isn't less capable. They just need glasses. Special ed does the same thing, just for learning. Every kid deserves the chance to show what they actually know. Special education is what makes that possible. If you found this helpful, drop a comment with your questions and subscribe for more on how education really works.